Howdy y'all, thanks for joining me on my channel. My name is Leland. Today we're going to be working on some beard details within ZBrush. So kind of like how we have this mustache, we're going to add the details to the beard. This is a copy of where I got to with a beard in the past, just kind of showing you the end result goal. So we'll go into this one. Alright, so I've already masked out and extracted the beard shape I want from the main head model that I have and I have also made the edge a different color, and then I've subdivided it up so that I have some decent geometry to work with. Alright, you don't need to start this high, but it does help. So we're gonna bring it down. Okay. And then I've also taken the geometry for the edge and pushed it into the model, into the face, so that it's going to be inside when I make it watertight. Alright? So what we're going to do first, and I'm only keeping the mustache up because so if I don't, it just looks really weird to sculpt. I mean, maybe if you're working on Abraham Lincoln or something like that. So now I'm going to use clay buildup, and to start with I want to have symmetry on just to speed things along, and I'm going to mask the edge so that I don't pull that edge up. Okay, so mask, invert the mask by control and click off, and all that I did to select this edge is I went to the gizmo, I usually click and rotate, and then I clicked on that poly group that I want. So I'll show you one more time. So now in draw mode, rotate, click on the edge, control click off, and that's going to mask that edge so I don't sculpt into it. Alright. Now the other thing, so now we have this, that also makes it to where it's not going to pull up if I did have a thick mesh. Alright. So we're going to take that wireframe off, and we'll start sculpting into this. Okay. And just using clay buildup, we're going to start sculpting in, and we can go up a layer by just pressing D if you have subdivided, and that's going to help us add this implied texture. So I actually like to work from the bottom, dragging those hairs, and that way I can create a layered effect by pulling those hairs where they go. Okay. And this is a very controlled way to do it. If you're not too worried about control, there are other methods, but I like, strictly because I know I'm 3D printing it and I've had problems with it in the past, I really like to have that control for how things are going to go. Then I'll use standard, a standard brush, so BS, and then standard, where is it? There's scribe standard. That one can actually do some fun stuff. Anyway, it's already selected at the top when you open up ZBrush unless you've changed your auto selection. So I have it hotkeyed. So go through, and because I have a bigger brush, it's going to quickly add these strokes. Okay. And you just want to really focus on which direction the hairs are going to go. You know, the cheek hairs kind of, everything curls towards the chin a little bit. Always have your reference up on a separate screen, or if you can't, have them on the same screen, your phone, whatever. Okay. What I really like this one to do is I like to go along the edge and inverting the brush. So instead of having an add, press Alt so it's on subtract, and just going right along the edge. And what this is going to do is it's going to make it look like the hairs and stuff are actually coming out from the cheeks and things. Okay. And then I'll take build up and add in, just build up that information. back over. Oh, see, isn't that nice? I do really like that. So just think about how these hairs are laying on top of each other. Just take your clay build up. And I like to keep my brush strokes according to how long these hairs are. Now, facial hair isn't super long, but if I was going to make this longer, I would drag it further just so it already implies that length. Kind of fun way to cheat it in. So there you go, we got that. Yeah, I really don't like it without the mustache. This character has a full beard, so it looks really weird without the mustache to me. And then just kind of push those back down. And then every time you layer it up, you can get a little bit finer detail with things. To where you got that fast implied texture put in. Okay. And you can get a little staggered with it if you want. I'm going to do spray. Using spray, you can see it. I didn't want to click that on. Come here. So if you ever do that on accident, just click on that circle in the top corner and drag it to the middle and it'll go away. You wouldn't believe how long it took me to figure out. It drove me nuts anytime I did that accidentally. So now we're just getting that random texture put in. Okay. So that gives it a nice, thick beard texture, but it's really rough. And I'm at my max subdivision, which is good because now we're going to do one of my favorite things. So if you have ZBrush 2022 or newer, within the brush palette is Chisel Organic. Okay, so you click this, and if you scroll all the way over here, you have these brushes for animal fur. All right. So click on this one, and it's still okay to have your symmetry on, and you can pull it in, and it gets these implied shapes put in really fast. I want this in the middle, so I'm going to turn symmetry off just so I can get that. And the reason I say implied is, yes, there is geometry added, okay, and it looks really nice, but these edges are not as sharp as I want. So we're going to go through and do something to make those hide. And personally for me, every time I'm near the center of a mesh, I like to turn symmetry off so I have more control. Alright, so we've got that in there. And real quick, so just like in the top where we did the inverted, turn this back to what it was, we want to go down here and we're going to pull it out, okay, and then kind of push it back in, okay, because we're trying to build that where it's growing out over the skin as far as the hair. Alright, we can't go too crazy with it, otherwise it's not going to print well unless you're doing a very large bust or a large sculpture, but it'll work in those cases. Alright, so you would do that along it, and that fast we already have this kind of all this put in there. And now with your mask pen, click lasso, and we're going to turn off the alpha. You want it on just your regular standard, and we're just going to mask out these strands. Okay, so let's say so I don't like how this and this, they're not super sharp. Okay, so I'm going to take my mask lasso and I'm just going to draw in these shapes that I want. Okay, and you want to go a little big. In fact, we're going to build this part up a little bit more, and you'll see why in just a sec. This is one of those times where it pays off to take a little extra time with your setup. Alright, So now with the standard, all I'm going to do is drag it along like this. Okay? Just like that. Now these hairs are sitting on top more. Okay? So they're not overhanging. So they're not going to have to add supports to it unless the model, so each of these is at a support angle, or an angle where I don't need supports. Alright, they're going to sit really well. A lot of that comes from printing with so much, so that you know how stuff has to be and how it can sit. And just go through and do that on all of them. So if you're not sure yet, each printer is different. I've got different rules for each of my printers that I have to follow. I want to make sure that's masked off. Okay. And go through. Build these edges so that I can go through. And as you can see, you can just as easily go through and just map them out. And then I just take the standard brush and build them up. And then if I want something to be a little sharper, you can take damn standard. So brush, D, damn standard right there. And just go and drag it here or down, and that will define the hairs just a little bit more without dragging them over the top too much. Okay. So that easy, and you have your layers going on. Another thing you can do is if you have something on top that you're not really worried about supports being an issue. So I'll mask that again. Go really big if you're going to do this one. Click on inflate. Okay. So brush I inflate over here, so brush IN. And go right along the edge of it. Okay, this is going to create a little more of an overhang. You don't want to go much past the edge, and let's say I want this hair right here to go over the top. Okay, just do inflate, or go ahead and do your build up, make sure it's smaller, and you have it to where it's overhanging. You can also go /2, okay, which if it's not in your brush palette already, hit the comma key and then go in here to brushes, and you have all these bonus ones. I've talked about it in the past. You have / right here in this folder, /2. Okay, oops. So, and then to close it out, hit the comma again, and now you can use that brush, and I have it hotkeyed because I use it a lot, to go through. And the intensity right now for this level of detail is way too much. So I'm going to bring that down, hit U, and that changes that hits up the slider. You can slide it, or I like to enter it manually. Bring that down, and it just makes it to where I can put the sharp edge underneath it right here. Okay. So let's say I want this hair right like that. I cut into it, and it works like that. And you would just go through and do it across, and you'll get these nice facial hairs that will stand out for printing. I'll show you just one more time. Go big with it. And you can, if you want it to be more loose, as far as you're not worried about control, you can go a little bit bigger with Alpha 61 and drag them that way. Okay. So again, that gets these hairs in there really nice and easy, so that you can go and have those printed. When you're all done with it, just like I said in my last video, Boolean the mesh, and that way it's all solid, it's all united between your facial mesh and your hair. So hope this tip and tricks help you guys out, and get out there and create something. I'll see you next time.